I tell you, I mean, the other big story of the week in the political economy, as I was saying in the intro, is the discussion about the surplus, or the need to get to a surplus. And Wayne Swan must be a little wondering about the injustice of all this cash going into Telstra from the government. It's not coming out of the budget, of course, but, you know, it's a river of gold. It's certainly a river of gold that it's kind of all he needs is a few $1 billion. Anyway, in case you hadn't heard of it, the government's view is that a budget surplus is actually imperative and important.
It is important at this time in our economy to return the budget to surplus.
A surplus is more important than ever.
Surplus is right now.
You are nuts. You are nuts. You are nuts if you're not coming back to surplus.
We're going to bring the budget to surplus. It's an economic imperative.
Economic imperative. The right thing to do in this environment is to bring the budget back to surplus.
It's the right time to be bringing the budget to surplus, and we will.
So is it imperative? Is it important?
It's a political imperative.
It is a political imperative.
But not an economic one?
Whether it's a few billion either side, it doesn't really matter, and that's what everyone's trying to tell them. And they're going to go into the next election next year on a platform of prudent economic management, when really what they're doing is there are sectors of the economy burning away in the background whilst they are pursuing their political agenda. And really it's a political thing, not an economic thing.
What actually kicked it all off was Ralph Norris, the former CEO. Well, it didn't kick it off, I mean, it just kind of kept the story going with Ralph Norris saying that it was mindless. Here's the quote from the Financial Review. Also, the current CBA boss, Ian Narev, Ralph Norris' successor, had a bit of a different take. He didn't know what to think, actually.
I simply don't have good facts to weigh in on the question of whether we should be in surplus or not surplus next year. What I will say, no matter which side of politics you're on and what your economic views are, is that for the reasons I've outlined, it's very important to understand that the world moves, and that settings which seem very useful and valuable one day or the other may or may not be the right ones 6 or 12 months down the track.
Well, the world moves, but apparently politics doesn't. I mean, they've been fixed on the surplus for quite a long time now.
Well, they have. I find it a bit strange that Ralph Norris, a banker, is basically lecturing the government and tell them to keep borrowing like, you know, drunken sailors and spending like drunken sailors. It is ridiculous that a commodity nation like Australia, at the top of the biggest boom ever, has a massive budget deficit. But then why has the Labor Party blown all the cash with this massive spending and then all of a sudden say it's all about the surplus? So it's just such a mixed message from this government over the last 5 years.
Well, Wayne Swan has to live by being the world's greatest treasurer, doesn't he? And they've minced about so many policies that they've promised on that, you know, can you imagine if they didn't even have $1 billion surplus, what the opposition would do?
Yeah, but he got that award last year while they were in massive deficit, so he didn't get the award for being in surplus.
I was saying
it's going to be smoke and mirrors. I mean, even this aged care announcement on Friday, I'm on the board of a nursing home, and the sector's been getting deluged with government cash. It's just like unprecedented amounts of cash coming to the sector this year.
That isn't coming out. I don't think that's well known.
Well, on Friday, the government announces that there's been massive rorting going on, and we're going to claw it all back. So what they've done is they've front-loaded all the payments to the sector, and then next year when they're trying to get surplus, they're going to claw it all back just to massage the book. So it's a smoke and mirrors job, this surplus claim. Whether it's the timing of spectrum sales, they're pulling every accounting trick in the book.
Yeah, and we'll find out in a couple of years' time, or is it 12 months' time when...
Well, that's okay. We want it to be smoke and mirrors, don't we?
Well, rather than ripping $40 billion of real money out of the economy, that'd be a disaster.
That would be a disaster, exactly. Yeah. So smoke and mirrors, that's good.
It's all right.